Hello, I am Burt Green, this is the Burt Locker. This video in particular is the Casuals Guide to UFC 298, headlined by Alexander Volkanovski defending his title against Ilia Topuria. Now, these Casuals guides are designed so that you get more information about every single fighter, every single fight, from the early prelims all the way to the main event. It's quick hit style. I like to get this wrapped up in about 20 minutes or less because you've got things to do. Who's got time to sit to 3 hours of just breaking down every fight? If you want that kind of detail, go and check out Dan Hardy. He's absolutely brilliant. But this is just designed as an overview, just so that you've got a flavour of what you can expect from some of the fighters that you're perhaps not as familiar with as you'd like to be, and it just saves you a bit of time and researching them yourself because I've done all that for you. I also make my own picks, but obviously use the information to make all your own picks because it's very difficult to hit those accumulators on MMA. God knows I've been trying. But yeah, so let's get started with the Casuals Guide for UFC 298. We're starting off in the ladies 125 division. Andrea KJB Lee against Miranda Maverick. This is a fight I'm actually quite interested in, to be fair. 5'6", plays 5'3", with a 4-inch reach for Lee. Now, that could be key because Andrea Lee, she comes from a kickboxing background. She's also a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Judo. Well, those combinations are very good. She's an excellent kickboxer, and if you've got a Judo and a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of background as well, that's very, very good. Under Holson Gracie as well. She's pretty much dangerous everywhere. She just hasn't been able to put it together lately. She's dropped 6 in her last 8 in the UFC, so I expect her to be an underdog in this one. Maverick has all the potential in the world. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, crushing top game, absolutely crushing. Occasionally she does get outclassed on the feet, and she lost to Gillian Robertson because she just got kind of out-muscled, really. She's tough to finish. Her 5 losses, she's never been finished. I'm going to take Andrea Lee here. I expect her to be an underdog. I haven't looked at the betting lines because I think she's going to be far better on the feet, and I think that her Judo and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu brown belt should be enough to at least counter Maverick in the grappling. Miranda's got to get this to the ground, whereas I feel like Lee has a little bit more to her. If it stays standing, I think it goes in the favour of Lee, and on the ground it's closer than it is on the feet, if that makes any sense at all. Anyway, then we take a look at Oban Elliott, Welsh lad, for taking on Val Woodburn, who's that guy that came in last minute to fight Bo Nickel, what was it, like last year? This is 170-pound welterweight division. So we've got 6 foot playing 5'8" with a 2-inch reach for Woodburn. Now, as I said, Oban Elliott, he's out of Wales. He's 9-2, not 1-0 like the UFC site says. Anyway, he's really well rounded. He went on a very impressive run in Cage Warriors, and then he impressed on the Dana White's Contender Series, which is why he's now getting a shot on the main roster. So we've yet to see him against some of the stiffer competition. Now, Woodburn, he's an absolutely savage striker. He lost his debut, but let's be fair, that was to Bo Nickel. That is his only loss as well. I would say that Woodburn, he's very scary on the feet. He's got 5 knockouts on 7 wins. He's always looking to throw a lot of heat. I'm going to take Woodburn in this one. I think Elliott is probably just not quite the wrestler that Bo Nickel is, and you're going to need to get Woodburn down to the ground because that guy, he throws some heat. Then you've got Josh Quinlan, 6-1, taking on Danny Barlow, 7-0, 170-pound division. Now, Quinlan, he looks straight out of an 80s martial arts film. He's a finisher as well, 6-1, and all of them are finishes. All of his wins are finishes. 2 knockouts, 2 submissions. So he's pretty good. Barlow's undefeated. His nickname is Left Hand to God, so I assume that maybe he's got a good left hand or something. Either way, he looked pretty good on the Dana White Contender Series. I did catch that one. He got a good TKO. I'm going to take the undefeated record. I'm going to say that Danny Barlow gets the knockout. Why the hell not? Then you've got Zhang Mingyang taking on Brenson Ribeiro in the 205-pound division. Mingyang, the Mountain Tiger, is 16-6. He's from the road to the UFC tournament over in Asia. 16 wins, all finishes, 10 knockouts. This kid's very good. Brendan, he looks like he's a giant in the picture. It's pretty funny. They've just used some terrible pictures. He looks like he's Andre the Giant standing next to Hulk Hogan, but but obviously not those two people. Anyway, it's a weird picture choice. He's 15-5, not 1-0. And again, look, all 15 are by way of finish. 9 knockouts, 6 submissions. Him fighting out Brazil, got to assume that he's got some of that grappling. This is going to be a good fight, honestly. I think Ribeiro, he physically looks the stronger of the two, especially if it goes to the ground. I would think he's probably got the advantage, but Ming Yang is also unbelievably good. This could be a fight of the night candidate. I'm going to roll the dice on Ribeiro in this one. Then you've got that was the early prelims. Now we move on to the prelims. If you enjoy the content, hit like, hit subscribe, and yeah, hit the bell notification if you want to see when the videos drop. I'm going to try and be more regular with the content. I realise I've dropped the ball lately, but hey, look, I've been busy. Do you know what I mean? We've all got shit to do, you know. Anyway. The prelims kicks off with AJ Dobson taking on Tristan Gore. Now, this is 185 pounders. Dobson, I don't really know too much about. I did catch his fight against Petrosian, where he just got a bit out-muscled, a bit outclassed, really. And Gore, he looked excellent on the Ultimate Fighter series, but you know, he's run into a couple of hiccups here and there. He's very new. He's extremely athletic. He looks better every time. The guillotine he got on Fremd in his last fight was very, very good. I'm going to take Tristan Gore in that one, just because I think he's going to be too athletic and he's just going to be too much for Dobson in that one. Rinya Nakamura, 8-0 out of Japan, taking on Carlos Vieira from Ecuador, 135 pounders. Now Nakamura, I don't really know too much about. He's undefeated out of Japan. He's got good striking, 5 knockouts on 8 wins. You can't really sniff at that. Vieira is more of a grappler. He's got excellent guillotine. He really looks for the guillotine quite a lot. I watched a highlight video of him and it seemed like it's just a technique that he does look for a lot. I'm going to take Nakamura here just because he's undefeated. I feel like he's probably going to be slightly better on the feet. Now, this one, the next, is my actual call for fight of the night. Marcos Rogerio de Lima taking on Justin Tafa. This is an unbelievable fight. The Brazilian taking on the New Zealander. 6'1" plays 6 foot with a 1-inch reach for De Lima. Now, De Lima is an absolute savage. He's so fun to watch. He just runs up and just starts throwing heat, just starts throwing bombs. And he's pretty quick as well. These guys are 265 pounders. They're both big guys, but he throws very, very quickly. He's also got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, so if it does go to the ground, he clearly does know what he's doing. He just prefers to try and stand and just knock people's heads off. He's so fun. Justin Tafa, again, very fun to watch. He's one of those New Zealand sluggers. If he wasn't fighting in the UFC, he would be like working on a door somewhere, beating up nightclubbers like on a Saturday night. That's where he would be. He's just very fun to watch. So he'll stand in the pocket, he'll trade. He's very hard to knock out, got a big thick skull. Yeah, this is fight of the night for me. I'm going to take De Lima just because if it does like go to the ground on a scramble, he can fight there, whereas I don't know if Tafa is as well versed there. So, but either way, toss a coin, just enjoy that one. That one's going to be fight of the night for me. Then Amanda Lemos takes on Mackenzie Dern in the prelim headliner, I want to call it. Anyway, 5'4", plays 5'4", 2-inch reach for Amanda Lemos. Now, Lemos is an absolutely savage kickboxer. She's probably one of my favourite ladies to watch fight. She's so good. Her leg kicks make you wince. Like when she's landing those leg kicks, you kind of feel them through the screen. That's how hard they are. Absolutely ridiculous. She's one of the best strikers out there. She's unbelievably good. Now, Mackenzie Dern, she's next level at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? She's fantastic at grappling. If it goes to the ground, she can absolutely dominate. However, we've noticed lately some fight, because you think, okay, it's going to hit the mat. Mackenzie Dern's going to get the submission basically, you know, like a hot knife through butter. Not necessarily the case. It just seems like a lot of fighters have figured out that if they can stall certain positions, then you know what? They're going to get stood up eventually, and they're going to end up kind of, you know, each round starts on the feet. And on the feet, Dern is not good. She often gets into fights that she cannot win on the feet. And she's not great at getting the fight to the ground. For someone who's so elite at grappling, she's officially, this is official stats, officially, she has landed 1 takedown in 57 attempts. That's not good. When her whole game to try and win is to get it to the ground, 1 on 57, that's not great. I'm taking Amanda Lemos in this one. I think that she's going to kick the shit out of her, for lack of a better term, honestly. Anyway, then you've got the main card. Kicks off with Anthony Fluffy Hernandez taking on Roman Kopylov. Now, this one I have circled because I'm a huge fan of Roman Kopylov. But 6 foot plays 6 foot. reach both 75 inches, right? Now, Hernandez, he is really good, right? He's if he wasn't fighting Roman Kopylov, I'd be talking up Anthony Hernandez. Sorry. He got a very nice stoppage over Edmund Shabazian in his last one with some savage elbows. He's good anywhere the fight goes. However, Roman Kopylov is an absolute monster. His head kicks are unbelievable. There's no telegraph at all. You watch the one that he got Ribeiro with, like, just absolutely unbelievable. Just like no wind up, just absolute picture perfect. He got him with that. And then you've got the body punch that he finished Fremd with, was just he was just mixing it up so well. His striking is so smooth, his footwork is so good, and he's never overextending himself, he's never kind of exerting himself too much, so he can he dictates a very good pace, but he's so smooth and kind of effortless. It's so good to watch. I am fully on the Kopylov hype train here. I am taking him by knockout in this one. No disrespect to Hernandez. Look, obviously anything can happen in MMA. I'm just, like I said, I'm big into Roman Kopylov. I think he's one to watch at 185 pounds. Then you've got Merab Dvalishvili taking on Henry Cejudo, 135 pounders. Now this is a marquee fight in the 135 pound division, because obviously you've got the former champion Henry Cejudo, who's one of the best to do it, Triple C, King of Cringe, whatever you want to call him, and Merab Dvalishvili, the guy that should really be fighting for the title, but for some reason they're giving the fight to Chito Vera. I don't know why they're doing that. Merab Dvalishvili, after that performance over Peter Yan, is the #1 contender. And now that Aljo doesn't hold the belt, it's for me, he should be fighting for the belt. But he's fighting Cejudo first because he wants to stay active. Now, Merab Dvalishvili, what sets him apart for me, he's unbelievably just in your face. He's fast on the feet, he's in and out movement, he's just hard to pin down. He's never standing in one place, and he's got endless energy. He never stops. He'll keep hitting the double legs. He'll just keep hitting those takedowns and keep grinding, and he just does not stop. And he will break your will. Do you know what I mean? You'll take a deep breath and realise that he hasn't even gotten started yet, and it's going to be a long, horrible night. He does tend to just decision people, but there's something really fascinating about watching him break the will of his opponents, and that's what he does. Now, Henry Cejudo, he's an Olympic level wrestler. We all know that. He's got very fast hands. He's got a piston of a right cross. The one that he caught Wilson Hayes with was just like, it was so hard to see. It was like you couldn't even like see his fist. It was that fast. However, that was a long time ago. Cejudo retired. He had a break. I think the time off was bad for him, because whilst he was off not doing anything, whilst he was off inactive, like Merab was getting better. Now, Merab Dvalishvili is currently doing everything that Henry Cejudo used to do, and at this time, at this point in their careers, I believe that Merab Dvalishvili does all those things better than Henry Cejudo, and I think we see him break Henry Cejudo's will, and it'll be a decision, I imagine, but it'll be a dominant win for Merab Dvalishvili, in my opinion. But look, you can never count out Triple C. He Olympic gold medalist, former champion. You can't count him out. But Dvalishvili is one of these killers from Georgia, and it got a few of these guys coming over now. And yeah, it's going to be interesting. Then you've got Jeff Neal taking on Ian Machado Gary, 170 pound division. You've got 5'11", playing 6'3" with a half-inch reach for Jeff Neal. Jeff Neal's a very scary fighter in boxing range. He often tries to keep it in boxing range. Hands of steel. He's got great combinations, very good footwork. He does sometimes uncork a kick here or there. Fairly sure he got Mike Perry with a head kick. I'm not 100% on that one, but it was Mike Perry or someone like that I know that Neal did get a head kick on. He was pretty competitive with Shavkat Rakhmonov, who is the scariest 170 pounder on the planet. So look, there's a lot to like about Jeff Neal. Ian Gary, however, he's an elite level striker, but in kicking range. In boxing range as well, but in kicking range, I think that's where the difference is going to be on this one. Just because Jeff Neal's going to want to keep it in boxing range. And in boxing range, Jeff Neal is as dangerous as anybody. I don't know if he's going to be able to dictate where the range takes place. Ian Gary seems to be very, very good at dictating the range, which is where he finds his success. Gary's also very precise with his striking, very precise. He hits a very high accuracy rate, and I think that's going to be the difference maker here. I think he's going to be a lot of low kicks followed by a high kick. I think it will be a knockout for Ian Gary. Then you've got the co-main event, Robert Whittaker taking on Paulo Costa. It'll be nice to see Paulo Costa back in the octagon because he's been away for bloody ages. Anyway, 6 foot, plays 6'1" with a 1.5 inch reach for Whittaker. Robert Whittaker is probably one of the most complete middleweights in the history of the UFC. He's so far above average in every single area of the sport. He's a true mixed martial artist in that he's not like outstanding. You know, he's not like the most elite striker. He's not the most elite wrestler. He's not the most elite grappler. But he is probably the best all-rounder that we've had in the UFC. He's so complete. There are no real weaknesses. You have to really work hard to beat him, which is it was what made Dreykus's win over him so damn impressive. Like, he just doesn't get knocked out really. Dreykus and Adesanya have knocked him out, and outside of that, like no one's done it since he's been at middleweight, I don't think. Anyway, I do think Paulo Costa is a little bit overrated, honestly. I really do. People view him as this knockout monster because they look at his record as, 11 knockouts on 14 wins. Like, yeah, but most of those were on the regional scenes where, look, not being funny, who's he fighting there? Do you know what I mean? Like, people that aren't professional fighters, probably. Because you look at him when he hit the UFC, do you know he knocked out Johnny Hendricks, who looked like he was a weight class below him. Like, I remember seeing that fight, seeing them squaring off. I was like, why are they doing Hendricks so dirty here? Like, they're putting him against an absolute monster. The knockout of Uriah Hall, I will give him that one. That was impressive because Uriah Hall is a top level striker. So to knock out Uriah Hall, very, very impressive. That was also in 2018 though. Let me check the date here. 2024? It's now 2024. His last knockout in the cage was in 2018. So his record looks more impressive than it actually is. Much like him as a fighter, he looks really scary. He's got a great look. Do you know what I mean? If it was a bodybuilding contest, damn. Do you know what I mean? Modelling contest. But it's not. It's a fight. I think actually he's not a one-trick pony, but he kind of is in a little bit. And I just feel like I'm taking Whittaker here. I think that's fairly obvious because I just think that he's going to be better in every area, like except maybe in power. But even that's debatable. We've not seen, we've not seen Paulo Costa look particularly powerful in his last few fights, have we? He just hasn't looked great. So yeah, I'm taking Whittaker all day in that one. I think he's just going to mix up all the techniques, and I think it's going to be too much for Paulo Costa to keep up with. I don't think that Whittaker's going to be there to be hit by what Costa's bringing to the table. Then you've got the main event of the evening. Alexander Volkanovski taking on Ilia Topuria, the undefeated German / Spanish fella. This is for the featherweight title. So 5'6", plays 5'7", 2.5 inch reach for Alexander Volkanovski. Volkanovski, I'm a huge fan of his. Like, he's one of the best to ever do it. Like, he's got one of the most complete skill sets. He's like Robert Whittaker, but he probably is elite in every area rather than just being kind of ultra good in every area. His kickboxing is so good. His footwork is unbelievably precise. When you saw what he did to Max Holloway in the third meeting, it was like the way he was able to get in, throw a combination, use his footwork to get out, and he barely got touched. Yes, he got knocked out by Islam Makhachev, but Islam Makhachev is one of the best to ever do it, and he's also a weight class up, and you could see the size difference. Do you know what I mean? Volkanovski went up and challenged himself, and he got knocked out for it. He took that fight on short notice. And people are reading a lot into that, saying that, that Volkanovski's done because he got knocked out by Islam Makhachev. It's one of the most ridiculous things I've ever heard, I'll be totally honest. Now, that's not to say that Topuria can't win. Topuria is a very scary cat. He's undefeated. He's on an incredible run. 4 in his last 5 in the UFC, he has finished, right? Great submissions. People keep on talking about Ilia Topuria and his boxing. Why is no one talking about his submissions? He's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who is absolutely elite on the ground. He's got twice as many submissions as he's got knockouts. So why is everyone talking about his boxing and not about his overall MMA game? He's a dangerous overall MMA fighter, Ilia Topuria. He's undefeated and he's a finisher as well. He's dangerous. Make no mistake about it. He has also already made a documentary about winning the title, and he's not won it yet. If he's looking past Volkanovski, that's going to be a mistake. Every champ has to fall sometime, and maybe this is the time for Volkanovski to fall. I don't think it is though. I think Volkanovski, because the thing is, look, we've seen Ilia Topuria look elite, top level against guys that frankly would not or have not lasted in the octagon against Volkanovski. I think that Ilia Topuria has looked unbelievable, but when we see him against Volkanovski, he's going to look ordinary because Volkanovski does that to people. Volkanovski has made a career of taking these ultra talented, unbelievable, elite level fighters and making them look a step behind. I think that's what we see this weekend. I'm taking Volkanovski by knockout, TKO, probably from a ground and pound position. And I think we see Volkanovski get back in the win column. He's going to look like the Volkanovski that we know. It's not on short notice. He's not taking on a guy that's in the weight class above him. So I think this is the Volkanovski. And I'm not counting Topuria out, not at all. Topuria is 14-0. He's undefeated. That means something. But man, Volkanovski, he's so damn good. I cannot bet against him. Anyway, I'm super looking forward to this fight. That is a fight card. Like, I didn't even do one because I was busy last week, so I didn't actually do one for the last UFC Vegas. But it was such an uninspiring card. This one gets my juices flowing. This is a huge card from top to bottom. Make sure, if you're an MMA fan, you need to tune into this one. It's got some unbelievable talent on there. I am going to be placing some terrible bets, which I'll be putting online on Saturday. They're just for a bit of fun. I like to just keep the stakes very low, the odds very high, and they're always terrible, but they're at least a bit of fun. Putting together some parlays, some accumulators, because, it's just, it livens it up a little bit, doesn't it? So, until next time, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and keep all those odds long and those bets terrible.